This month on Tiger Vision, a look back on the year in Tiger football under their new head coach. Automotive program spins into gear and will serve up a slice of history at D&A Pizza. These stories and more this month on Tiger Vision. Now here's your anchors, Chris Hart and Cassidy Belmore.
Hello and welcome to the second Tiger Vision of the school year. I'm Cassidy Belmore.
And I'm Chris Hart.
We aim to tell the stories from around our community that matter most to Newton students.
First up, we'll take you to the automotive shop where students are keeping our school's engine running. Nick Soliviv has more on the story.
For the students with any kind of car issues, there is no better place than the Newton North Automotive Technology course.
The course is an automotive technology program. It's a 4-year course of study. And we are a certified program in Massachusetts.
What I do is I come out here and I teach the kids when we're working on a job how to do a particular job.
I like that I get to work on cars and learn about the functions of a vehicle. It teaches them about the car and teaches us about how we can fix the car and help them.
The course is very professional. We have certifications. Students take tests. They become nationally certified.
A lot of them work on their own, and when they do a project and comes out well, I'm very happy with that.
Apart from educating the students, the course also provides the services of a fully functional auto shop.
So the cars that come in, we try to do a lot of community type work.
Customers, teachers, students, residents of Newton, it's a good deal for them. They just pay for the parts and they don't pay for the labor.
The first time I brought my car in was for an oil change, and then I found out that they do wheel alignment. I think that was the next one I did with my Nissan Altima for 10 years. They did a pretty good job.
Several times for, maintenance in terms of oil change or any tire issues.
I do bring it regularly, especially if I have problems with brakes, tires.
You definitely can help people, you can help your friends, like cars out and stuff, if they break down or something and they need your help.
I have to call them, give my information, and then these guys go and fix it for me. And they don't charge any labor. So that is incredible. Really good.
We have up-to-date alignment equipment. The brake machine is up-to-date. So we'll take as many jobs as we can.
For the Newton North TV, it is Nick Soliviv signing off.
Thanks, Nick.
Just like a car, a football team can only work when all the parts are working together. This season, the football team welcomed a new head coach. Our very own Chris Hart spent the season with them and saw how their unity led to their success.
How's it feel? Feels good! Said, how's it feel? Feels good! Let's go, boys, Tigers on 3! 1, 2, 3, Tigers!
Under the leadership of first-year head coach Mike Coppola, 2015 was another successful year for the Newton North football team. They made the playoffs for the third straight year and beat their bitter rivals, Waltham and Brookline. I asked Coach Coppola and Captain Cuba Birnbaum just what they thought led to the team's success.
We're as successful as we were because the team was really a team that cared about each other, that had each other's back, and really enjoyed being with each other.
I think a lot of people buying into what we're doing. Coach Coppola set out what we want to do, our mission, what we're trying to achieve, and people are just starting to really believe and kind of get after it.
We are starting to work at a playing level where, we can play against, some of the top teams in the state.
I also spoke to athletic director Tom Giusti about Coppola's first year and the shoes he had to fill with replacing beloved coach Peter Capitalupo.
It's tough to replace a legend like Coach Capitalupo, but I think Mike did a very admirable job this year. I think what he did is he really had all his coaches buy in to the program because he relied and depended on them to coach every single down and in every single quarter and in every single practice for the individuals so that they would get better and have more success.
There's no denying the strength of this team was the defense. Highlighted by a defensive line with 4 all-conference selections.
Coach Murray was our defensive line coach, and he did an outstanding job with our defensive line. And
This was the final curtain for some folks because they won't go on to play at the next level. But this is something, a memory they'll have for their entire lifetime. So it does mean a tremendous amount.
Signing off for NNTV, this is Chris Hart.
One last time. 1, 2, 3, Tigers. 1, 2, 3, Tigers!
Thanks, Chris. And congratulations to Mike Capula and the Newton North football team on a great season.
I would also like to thank the football team for allowing me to document them this season. The Newton North Theater program also relies on teamwork and determination to produce their amazing shows. This year, they produced Into the Woods, a twist on some of the classic fairy tales that you know and love. Sam Toretto sat down with the students involved to go behind the scenes of this production.
Without regret, the choice was made, the task was set. Into the woods, but not forgetting why we're on the journey. Into the woods to get our wish, I don't care how the time is now.
Into the Woods is a collection of fairy tales, basically put together. The fairy tales originated from the Grimm brothers, and so those include, you know, Jack and the Beanstalk, Cinderella, Rapunzel, Little Red Riding Hood. Yeah, and that's all paired with. Their storylines are all completely intertwined with that of another family, the baker and the baker's wife, as well as the witch and a mysterious man, and 2 princes, and it's an intermingling of all those storylines put together and woven so that they all have a specific purpose for venturing into the woods. Title and name to achieve something that they've been wishing for.
I play the witch, and she is definitely an evil character, but she's a lot more human than she gets credit for, because although she is wicked and has these powers that she like strikes people with and that kind of thing, and like curses people with, she has a lot of love, and she's very lonely, which is the reason why she is so evil and why she keeps her lovely Rapunzel up in a tower for Rapunzel's entire life.
I play Rapunzel, and she's like a really interesting character because even though she's a classic fairy tale princess that a lot of people know and love the story of, she has a huge downward spiral in this show, and yeah, it contributes to the whole message of like there's no such thing as happily ever after.
So I'm playing the narrator, which is super fun because I get to, you know, kind of oversee this entire story and move it along. And for this show, my character is not really the fun storybook character that previous shows have done and used the narrator for. It's a much more like I'm controlling what's happening, and I'm changing the story, you know, a little bit like this, a little bit like that, just to make it the way I want it, which is a little bit darker and a little bit more twisted for the characters.
I think a lot of the time, Into the Woods is definitely, you know, put on a lot, and it's definitely something that, you know, most people are going to be familiar with, at least the title. And I think we kind of wanted the challenge of making it different than all of those other performances.
So a lot of the designs are inspired by like the director's use of like the words like raw and like organic. So we really tried to make things look as like natural but fairy tale as possible.
Originally, we started going off of designs from the Regency period, which is a time in Europe where there are a lot of specific waistlines for females and males and tailored pants, and then we kind of also wanted to bring in an aspect of fantasy. So we took from different fairy tales, pieces of history, and kind of morphed them all together.
And we also kind of strove to get away from your classic Disney look, just because the show isn't like classic Disney. It's a lot darker and it's a lot more, there's just a lot more going on. So we, we kind of broke from that and gave the costumes like a darker feel to echo the theme.
I think that also with this, there is, especially with this show being such a very iconic show that with very iconic characters, especially from fairy tales that are very well known, we get to reintroduce the audience to our versions of these characters.
It's a wonderful way to look at something as familiar as fairy tales in a whole new light.
Into the woods, into the woods, into the woods, get out of the woods.
Thanks, Sam, and congratulations to Theater Inc. for making another amazing show. For information on their feature productions, go to www.theaterinc.com.
After watching a musical, you might get a little hungry. Local pizza shop DNA Pizza has been serving quality Greek dishes for more than 40 years. Everett Gilpin sat down with the owners of the pizzeria to find out how they've been the big cheese in Nonantup for so long.
Nonantup, a village of Newton, is a charming, close-knit community. But as you can see from the colorful street signs to the bustling businesses lining the streets, this suburb is one that is bursting with diversity and hospitality. One of these stores is DNA Pizza, a Greek pizzeria owned by Stelios Pantazopoulos, which has been open in the neighborhood for over 40 years.
Well, I like this area for all the diversity, you know, so many nationalities, so many different families, so many different shops. You know, you can basically find everything you want without leaving the neighborhood. It's a tight-knit community, everybody supports each other. It's a nice little community. We keep them well fed. We take care of the neighborhood, you know, whatever anybody needs. Try and help out, we support the local businesses, try to help out the schools, the students, you know, do what we can.
I asked customers and employees how the store has thrived here in Newton over the years.
I live near here, so I come here often. Yeah. Actually, I only been there just for 2 years, but I saw this. Could be a lot. It's more convenient. It's more easy to pick up the food. I think it's very good to people. Yeah, I think so.
Because we're consistent, and the food is very good.
Fresh. Nice prices.
Originally it was opened in the mid-50s, but it's been DNA since the mid-70s. I'm the current owner of the store. I've been here since '88, but I've been the owner since 2002. I've been doing this most of my life, since I was an early teen. We bought it from a family, 2 brothers that owned it, but I've been with them since the, like I said, mid-'80s, late '80s. So we're kind of like family. Feels like a family. We all love each other, hate each other, just like a family.
Pictures of iconic Greek landmarks and holiday photos from local families line the walls.
Just different places of Greece, you know, a little bit of Greek history. These pictures have been up for about 25, 30 years. Maybe time for a change. This one? Yeah. That's an award we got from the police department for being a good business and support the neighborhood and support our local police and try and help out. Most of these postcards are from families that actually grew up here, you know, and they keep in touch. Some of them moved away, but they still, you know, say hello every Christmas.
In the end, Stelios had one last thing to say to the community.
You know, keep being a community. Try not to get commercialized. You know, just support the local businesses and, you know, try and give back to the neighborhood.
For NNTV, this is Everett Gilpin.
Thanks, Everett. And if you're thinking about getting a slice, head down to DNA Pizza at 308 Watertown Street.
If you're more in the mood for popcorn than pizza, taking a trip to the movies will hit the spot. Lion Arujo got a behind-the-scenes look at a local movie theater.
There are endless ways to access movies and video content from anywhere and any devices. So how are movie theaters dealing with the shift towards watching movies at home?
We've been Apple Cinemas for almost 3 years now. It's been a while. The movie theater industry has always tried to offer you what you can't get at home. So we need to constantly adapt and provide them with something that they can't get at home. We do have intentions. We want to get a bar in here. We want to actually serve alcohol and things like that, and that's probably what the upper floor. We want to keep it separate from the regular concession items. We have the newer style soda machines. Popcorn and soda is a staple at the movie theater because at home you're not getting that same quality, that same advantage that we have. So. And that's what you're seeing. You're seeing the bigger seats. They're trying to make you more comfortable at the theater. So you might even see that conversion here sometime soon. We may end up with the large, more comfortable seats. You know, you might see some changes around the building. I have some personal ideas. I have to discuss with the owners about maybe expanding our arcade selection, you know. I love the arcade machines. I'd like to have more of them. But if we can get them up there, I'll load this room up with them. I might as well, you know, play Pac-Man. You know, play a racing game, something like that. Kids love it, and we really want to be focused towards the kids.
Seeing as how the actual theaters themselves have been changing, we wondered, what about the projection of movies? Has that changed as well?
Projection doesn't exist the same as it used to. Back in the day, you know, film was a lot more involved and required a lot more work.
I am the projectionist. I run the movies and sweep the theaters when there's nothing to run. We don't use film anymore. We converted to all digital about 2 years ago, and we've been running that ever since. The movies come in hard drives, and the files on them can be about 200 gigabytes. They're compiled into playlists with trailers, ads, and they run automatically on a schedule. There's an interface where you can access the files and the schedule, and you upload the movies through the eSATA port on the side. So it's just like a computer, plugging in an external hard drive.
Since everything's being used digitally, I had asked the projectionist to show us some film and explain how they were used.
So it's just a long strip of film with a series of small frames in it, about an inch long each. Each frame represents 1/24th of a second. There are 24 frames per second. And they run through the projector at blazing speed, and with a shutter to produce a flickering image, you get a constant image on screen. The sound is recorded on a small cyan strip on the film itself, and that gets read by a red laser inside the projector. We got rid of most of our projectors. We have one upstairs that's sort of on display, but it's mostly in pieces, unfortunately. Overall, I think I like being a projectionist. I think I do prefer film over digital. There's just something about the tactile aspect of it that I'm sort of missing now.
The theater industry has changed a lot, but we're seeing that they're trying to keep some things the same. Well, which one do you prefer, staying at home or going to the theater? Signing off from NNTV, this is Lion Araujo.
Thanks, Lion, and be sure to catch the newest releases at Apple Cinemas in Cambridge. Next up, we'll take you to Salem, Mass., where last October, Lion Araujo, Marquina Roscoe, and Nick Soloviev found out the true history of Salem's burning past.
Salem is known for its associations with witchcraft, and during Halloween the town fills with joyful tourists. But the events of the trials were so tragic, so me and my teammates Nick and Marquina went to Salem to learn how the town deals with its facts and its fictions of its dark past. Our first stop is at the Salem Witch Museum, where we interviewed Stacy, one of the museum managers.
So the Salem witch trials start to unfold in early 1692 in the winter months when two young girls in the home of Reverend Paris become ill in a way that no one can quite figure out why. They start to name names. They name Tituba. Tituba is the house servant in their own household, and she's a woman of color. So in total, about 150 townspeople were accused and imprisoned for being witches. 19 were hanged, but no one was practicing witchcraft.
We asked Stacy if it's true if this dark historic past is merely used to attract tourists to Salem.
Yes, we do. There is a tourism industry here, and there are people who earn a living based on that.
With everything we learned, we took to the streets of Salem to ask around what people thought about all this, especially if they think the town is doing this for a profit.
It gets very, very crowded here. A lot of the locals get really annoyed by it, but sometimes it can be it can be hard to get around when it's so packed and, everybody's on the common and you're trying to exercise, but it's so much fun.
Yeah, of course. There's a picture of a witch flying a broomstick every corner. They're definitely milking their whole history.
While walking around the town of Salem, we came upon a shop and we were able to interview the store owner on why he decides to sell these witchcraft objects.
What got you to start working at a witch store?
I created it. I saw what was happening, and I said I could do anything that anybody else is doing, and I think I could do it better. So, I see people to the right and left going out of business within 2 years. Why? Because they marked their product up 600%. They're giving Wiccan a bad name, but they get $12.99 for the same bottle that I sell you on the same satin cord for $1.95.
The only logical place to go to next would be to interview an actual witch.
So what they're doing is sort of desensitizing people to witchcraft and to witches, because you hear the word witch, you associate it with, the Wicked Witch of the West, right? She's the bad guy. But we are a nature-based religion. The natural world, and, all of what is good and pure. Certainly, we are human beings, so we all have, good moods, bad moods. So people who practice Wicca practice a specific religion. Wicca was, it sort of coincided in the 60s with the, free love, hippies, everybody, let's go and dance and worship the earth. So Wicca merged with the hippie tradition, if you call it a tradition, and it spread everywhere. Witches as healers. People went to the witch. They went for, to have their babies delivered, to get herbs for healing. All of those things were a part of what witchcraft was central to the culture. And it was completely accepted. And so a witch is, in antiquity, they were the healers. They were like the shamans of indigenous cultures that we know about shamanic energy, which is wisdom, integrity, truth, courage, and honor.
This shows that the town of Salem has altered parts of its own history, and that includes its actual events and while putting a twist on witches.
Thanks, guys. And we're going to take a day trip down to Salem just to get a glimpse of history.
Well, that wraps up this edition of Tiger Vision. If you have any stories or ideas, please send them to Newton North TV at newtonnorthtv@gmail.com.
But truly, there are stories everywhere, Cassidy. Check us out at youtube.com/NewtonNorthTV. Thanks for watching. Again, I'm Chris Hart.
And I'm Cassidy Ballmer. We'll see you next time.
Yeah, so that was...